Hi, I'm Christy Willette, 4-H Youth and Family Development Educator for the University of Maine Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to look at Sew Fabulous, a 4-H after-school club in Lewiston, Maine. This 4-H club is unique because it brings Somali teenagers together to create and construct traditional and non-traditional clothing.
My name is Sarah Noor and I'm from Sew Fabulous 4-H.
So Sew Fabulous 4-H started in March 2009, and right now we have about 25 girls that come every other week. It's an after-school program, but we meet later in the evenings because it meets the needs. A lot of these girls have homework to do when they get home, or a lot of them are childcare providers for their parents. They come from really big families. So we meet in the early evening and they come, and we started off with just kind of creating and deconstructing clothing because we wanted to know how clothing were put together. And the girls really have a really hard time trying to find clothing that meets their modest religious standpoint. So this gave them an opportunity to make something that was fashionable, but also adhere to what their culture's values and beliefs are, and that's really important.
Sew Fabulous is an opportunity for the youth to develop skills, be it respect, leadership, maturity, responsible citizenship, through fiber arts, which is a means that in their own culture they love. It's a means for them to be creative and develop themselves in a creative way. And it's also a very safe place where they can come, be themselves, and have fun.
Because we got to use the sewing machine, I just learned how to use a machine.
They come together and they sew skirts and shirts and dresses, and they're learning how to knit, and they're learning how to do community service projects and learning about their community in a way that is much bigger than the housing complex that they live in. And that is really, really important for these girls because a lot of times when you live in a housing community, you don't really see beyond the walls of the housing community that you live in. So they've done pillowcases for kids with cancer, they've done Operation Military Kids, sending hero packs to kids who have had family members deploy, and they're in the process of finding other community service projects to do.
The relationship between Lewiston Housing Authority and 4-H University of Maine began essentially because we had worked with Christy Meisner in the past, and she came to us and wanted to do a program for youth here. So we discussed and we met and we asked the youth what it might be that they would be interested in doing. And that was about 2 years ago, and the program has grown.
To the outsider looking in, you might just think that these girls are using a sewing machine and learning how to make clothes. But really they're having the opportunity to be leaders, they're learning how to be respectful, they're learning to work as a team, they're learning how to problem solve, and they're learning how to communicate. Because for a lot of these girls, English isn't their first language, and in order to communicate with the volunteers that help, with myself, they really have to learn and use their English skills that they're learning, and that's a really important piece.